July to take advantage of rates as low as 0%. Or choose rebates as high as $6,000 on 2025 models.
The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Author, musical connoisseur, sports know-it-all. Yes, a man for all seasons.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Welcome to the Lowdown. Today's show, Oilers make a big trade for the future. And now, where does Isaac Howard land? What about Matt Savoy? I'll tell you what I believe to be true in mere minutes. The Lowdown is brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. GM employee pricing is back on all Sierra trucks, plus great finance and lease rates on new GMC Terrain and Buick SUVs. WolfGMCBuick.com. Our guest today, we're going to have a very interesting show. I'm looking forward to Kevin McCurdy. Cory Pronman will join us at 12:40 today. Mike Nuga from the Stingers, as well as Declinations at 1:40. You know all of this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. We're available at Sports 1440 AM radio, also Radio Player Canada, iHeartRadio, sports1440.ca. After the show, we tweet it out on X. It's also available Apple and Spotify podcasts. I understand we're on YouTube today as well. Text or call us 833-401-1440. That's 833-401-1440. We're on Twitter at Lowetide, at Declan Kruger, at JFenwick04. Lots to get to, but we start with the introductions. He consumes food like a rabid dog, but he's skinny as a rail. Youth is wasted on all the wrong people, and it's frustrating for some of us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Josh Fenwick. Josh Fenwick, everybody.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I mean, how many pieces of pizza have you had in the last 24 hours?
I had 3. Two pieces of barbecue chicken and 1 piece of what we decided was Fizzlin' Ranch chicken.
Right.
Fizzlin' Chicken Ranch.
Each of these pieces is the size of a Buick. So just so you know.
They are pretty big. They're the size of my face, I think we determined.
Which is quite large. Are you feeling better?
Not particularly, but you know what?
God love you. You're here.
Here we go.
All right. He brings attitude mixed with a healthy dose of sweet talk and a pile of shuck and jive. It's Declan Kruger, everybody. Declan Kruger. By the way, I owe you a personal apology. I want everybody to know that we had a guest at 12:40 today. And I had asked Cory Pronman, and then I said, he hasn't got back to me, so we'll just run the guest. And then immediately, as soon as you sent out what the schedule of the show was going to be, I said, oh, Cory's in. And then you had to kind of do I know it puts you in a bad spot, and I apologize.
I couldn't believe my eyes.
Terrible.
Because I just talked to you.
Very
and then
poor
I see
behavior.
I see that you texted me, and I'm like, wow, this must be Lowetide texting me to tell me what a great job I've been doing. And it's just switching the show around. And obviously, no big deal. Obviously, like, we're all joking here. But it was hilarious that it was mere moments after I talked to you.
Well, you know what I did was, and this is something old people do. I was like, okay, I told him that. I better make damn good and sure Pronman hasn't texted me. And he did.
He had texted you.
If I had simply checked when you were there,
well, another funny part of the conversation was you were like, I can get him to go to 120. And then you come back and text, he's like, he's stapled in at 1240.
Don't listen to old people. Don't trust anybody over 30, and you'll be fine. Fortunately, Isaac Howard is less than 30. I'm going to tell you, I think he's going to get the push. I don't think it's going to be with Connor McDavid. I know Bob has that out there, and Bob has a lot more inside knowledge than I do. But I think that this is a young man who's never played in the NHL before, might want to go on to a really good line that has a good two-way bent and outscored a year ago. McDavid normally outscored. Last year was an outlier, but I think Draisaitl might be the landing spot, and I think that they're going to give him a big push over Savoy because this is a first-shot scorer, and quite frankly, we've talked about it before, the general manager is Stan Bowman. He did not acquire Matthew Savoy. He did acquire young Howard. So my lines are McDavid with Mangiapane and Hyman. Then I have Draisaitl with Howard, and then Podkolzin on right wing. And then Nuge with Frederick and Savoy. I had those lines out at 8:30 this morning. I know there's a lot of people talking about, where's Henrique going to go? I think he might be fourth line. Where's Janmark going to go? I think he might get traded. Right now, they have too many forwards signed. So somebody could go down, but it might be Savoy, and I do think they want to give him a look. So for me, I think Howard gets the push on the second line. He's a first shot scorer. I don't know how many of you know or are aware of or like NHL equivalencies, but his NHL equivalency is 19 goals and 38 points. You put him on a line with Draisaitl or McDavid, going to push it up past 20 goals for sure. And then as far as Savoy is concerned, good offensive player. His NHL equivalency, 11 goals, 33 points. But I think it's not a bad landing spot for him to be with Nuge on the third line with, say, Frederic. That line's got a lot going for it. Some really smart veteran play from Nuge, young zeal from Savoy, and then Frederic, who can, jam a little bit, and as our friend Declan does, shuck and jive. So we'll see. But I feel like that's a pretty good top 9. It's a good trade. I'm going to get to it in a second. I'm going to talk about the price and why Bowman went and did it and why it means this guy's going to be a future player. But I want to go to both of our folks who are in the room right now, both producers and brilliant. Declan, what did you think first blush about the trade?
Well, I like the trade. We talked a little bit about it on Fantasy Frenzy. Some people, kind of some of the rumblings I've seen is that Sam O'Reilly may very well end up being the, more serviceable NHL player, but Isaac Howard is ready to play now. And I think, and I hate sounding like a broken record because I just said it for 40 minutes on Fantasy Frenzy, but when you're a team in a cup window and you have a player who can be plug and play or who can come in, fill a role, come and be in the lineup, you want that player there. Yeah. And that's what I think Isaac Howard is, and that's why I'm happy with the move. I don't mind losing Sam O'Reilly. This is another thing, and I said this on Fantasy Frenzy as well. Again, I'll stop repeating myself in that sense, but I think a lot of Oilers fans, because of a rollover of the decade of darkness, when all they had to look forward to is prospects, overrate prospects. Like, I'm not saying Sam O'Reilly is going to be bad. He may very well be a great NHL player. He may be very valuable. He may be very serviceable. But I just think people talk about them and hold certain Oilers prospects on pedestals because it's what they know and what they did for so long, when it may not necessarily be the truth as it stands today.
Well, I think Savoy, one of the reasons people think he might be the better player is more of a draft pedigree. But the Oilers aren't going to ask Isaac Howard to do a lot more than just score. He's not going to be the defensive conscience on the line, and he is a shooter. And you've got a playmaker in Savoy who can also score goals, don't get me wrong, and more of a shooter type. I think the two things that really have to be landed here are Bowman acquired this player, and he gave up the most valuable piece outside the NHL in Sam O'Reilly. Look, let's be honest here. Sam O'Reilly may end up being the better hockey player in the NHL over the next 10 years. But the Oilers had a specific need. They weren't going to be able to go out and get, because this is what Ken Holland did every year, God love him, he'd go out and sign somebody in free agency, give them a no-trade contract. This isn't that, but that's a good thing. They're going to have 2 young forwards on this team in their early 20s on value deals, and they're going to be around a while. All of that is positive. It really is. Now, I know there's people screaming for a goaltender. Maybe that comes, but I've always felt it would be sometime in the second half, maybe near the trade deadline. Bowman doesn't trade for Howard for the AHL team. This young man is here. I think he gets a feature role, unless he fails miserably. I don't think that'll happen. Big Ten's a very good league. I did do a little bit of reaching out. It's not research, but I did reach out. And I did talk to individuals who are aware of him as an NCAA player and as a person, and it comes with high marks from everybody. He's got a certain amount of style. Declan will love him. You might remember his white suit that he wore at his draft in 2022.
Swaggy kid.
Man, he's got all kinds of things going on there. But I think this is a good get. It cost them full. Tampa Bay made a smart trade. They're a smart organization. We'll see how it goes from there. But from my point of view, this was a trade they had to make simply because they're not young. They're not as good as they need to be. Now they've got a shooter. And maybe it takes them 20 games to get it together. But I think you invest those 20 games in this player. And it's also a great test of Stan Bowman and his scouting staff. This can't fail. So guess what? You go back to, I think, the first trade that Ken Holland made where we were like, okay, this is an investment that's real and is going to cost a lot, was Andreas Athanasiou. It has to be better than Andreas Athanasiou. I think it will be, but I don't know. There's a certain amount of risk always with unproven players. What does it mean for people like Quinn Hudson? Definitely AHL. I think that every skill guy, not named the usual, and the 2 kids we're talking about are going to have to play, at least for a time, in the AHL and really prove themselves. And it might even be a year from now when we're talking about Hudson. I mentioned that I thought Janmark might get traded. He's my guess. You might be able to move Adam Henrique. And if they're going to move anybody, major or if they're going to move something major for anybody else, there are reports that Alec Tuck and the Sabres are going to start talking, and that's something to watch, not now, but over the season. That's a player that if he does come available, Bowman is probably going to be interested in at least a little bit. That would be my guess anyway. Are the Oilers done? I don't think they're done necessarily. They might add some roll ends at the end of summer. There's going to be some free agents who think they're going to get paid who may not, and that might be out there. And there's always things like what just happened with Howard, not signing with Tampa Bay, wanting a trade, and they finally make room for him. This in the olden days, this would happen all the time with Glenn Sather, and he traded Andy Moog because Andy Moog wasn't with the team, and they ended up getting Bill Ranford. There's an opportunity to make hay, and I think Tampa Bay did. They got a really good player here, and Edmonton needed to make the trade, and so they couldn't wait it out any longer. You say, well, you just wait a year and sign him in free agency. A year from now, he could sign anywhere. This was a good deal, and I like the deal for the Edmonton Oilers. They're younger. They're less expensive. This is a value contract. 2 of the top 9 could be guys in their early 20s making, even with all of the bonuses, under 2 swill. Now, what do you think, Fenwick? Are you thrilled about this trade? I know you're a big-time Prospects fan because you're a Calgary fan.
Yikes.
All they have is prospects.
Hey, we have Dustin Wolf.
Prospect.
Okay.
You want him back in the minors.
I would. I'd put him back in the minors.
I think that's crazy.
If you put him back in the minors, they got a shot at number 1 overall.
Okay, and that number 1 overall could be Nail Yakupov.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, wait, I guess this year it won't be.
But that's what I'm saying.
Right. Okay. You know what? Point Lowetide. Declan was wrong on this one.
Can somebody paint a big number 1 on the wall?
Yep, that was my fault.
Did we ever let Fenwick give his opinion?
No, good trade for the good trade for the Edmonton Oilers. They are in win now mode, I guess. So I guess it.
What do you mean you guess?
I guess they're in win now mode.
How could they not be in win now mode? Are you implying the Oilers aren't good enough to win?
I never said such a thing. How dare you put words in my mouth?
Well, it works. Everybody gets mad at you whenever I do.
No, it's a good trade. I'm going to be really interested to see come training camp, or specifically the end of training camp, who gets the starting job and who makes it and who doesn't between Howard and Savoy, if one of them doesn't make the team. So yeah, pretty amped up about it.
Ron says, just curious, pretty sure it was well known that Howard wanted out of Tampa Bay. How come I never heard of anyone else trying to acquire him? I think that the only time anybody heard specifics about Howard and another team were around Edmonton leading up to the draft. And, there may have been other suitors, but the Oilers seem to be the most aggressive. I know there's a sense of, oh, God, the Oilers have been ruined again by a bad trade. Have some faith. Give it some time. Bowman has done well so far. I mean, I know you're mad about the offer sheet. I get it. But I think the die was cast on the offer sheet long before Bowman showed up. Now, should he have matched on Holloway? Well, hell yes. But he didn't. And now we move on. And this trade, I think, moves up the timeline of their prospect 2 years and gives them an opportunity to hit the ground running in the fall. Not a bad plan at all. Does Bowman, this is from Dave Q, does Bowman trading one of our top prospects for another team's top prospect a testament to how he feels Jeff Jackson's hockey analysis? He's pretty much moved or undone all of JJ's signing and top pick from last summer. Well, I mean, I think Rick Tracy would be the guy who was, and his staff would have been the individuals who decided that Sam O'Reilly was the guy worth trading up for to get. And I think it's a testimony to Tracy and his staff that O'Reilly had the kind of value to get this deal done. There's a sense, I think, that the Oilers under Jeff Jackson failed miserably. And I think that a lot of the free agent signings that they made were good bets that didn't work out. That happens. I've always felt had they kept Victor Arvidsson for another year, he would have played better. It didn't happen. They moved him along to Boston and they got Mangiapane. I think that's a fine deal myself. Others may disagree. The disappointment was Jeff Skinner, no doubt about it. But in a way, I think part of the blame for that may go to the coaching staff not giving him another opportunity after that slow start with Connor McDavid. Just wondering if they overpaid for a guy who wanted out anyway. from Aaron. Here's what I'll say. I think that the Edmonton Oilers initially, when they were interested, they offered a first-round pick. I think Tampa Bay is a smart, astute, wise organization. They said no. And then the Oilers walked it. The draft occurred. And then after the draft, they came back and they got the same answer. And they wanted something that was going to be usable and something that in 2 years could be as good or better than what they were giving up. And they didn't care about having to wait a year. And they didn't care about the threat of losing this player for nothing a year from now. They stood their ground. They had the balls of a pirate, and they should be rewarded for that. That doesn't mean Stan Bowman made a bad deal. Okay, it's 12:16. I'm rambling. I'm rambling, but I'm having a great time. And we've got lots to talk about. This is the kind of deal I love because it gives us a chance to talk about Stan Bowman, how he assesses talent, and it also gives us a chance to look at how this organization might look with a first shot scorer. Been a while since they had one, and that's on the way as of now. Now, coming up, we've got rumors. Cory Pronman at 12:40. Kevin McCurdy will join us at 1, and Mike Nuga from the Edmonton Stingers at 1:20. What is on declinations today?
Well, it's Wednesday, so I guess we gotta work in a Dunkin' with Declan somehow.
What?
Talk a little NBA free agency.
Okay, I was just worried that you had nothing planned.
Well, true.
I do have a question for the group.
Yep.
How long is the delay?
On YouTube?
Yeah.
It's a good few seconds.
Okay, because it's weird. I'm watching myself.
It's a good few seconds.
And I look like I'm a little slow on the uptake, which is fine because that's par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
But, I thought it might be in real time.
No, it's a good few seconds.
So if I were to flip you the bird, it wouldn't immediately be available.
Yeah, like you could flip me the bird and we could end the stream and no one would ever see it. Theoretically.
Yeah. Okay. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
You have a choice, and it's a hard one. GMC employee pricing or 0% financing at Wolf GMC Buick. A hard choice, but also super awesome. Get GMC employee pricing on our Sierra lineup, from the Sierra half-ton to the heavy duties. If you have cash, get discounts over $12,000 on many of our Sierras, along with GMC pricing. Or choose 0% financing on our Sierra half-ton lineup. And what a great selection of GMC terrains and fabulous Buick SUVs to pick from. So many choices. But one thing's for sure, you are getting the best deal at Wolf GMC Buick.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties, including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League's Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Ease joint pain and support healthy skin with NACA Platinum Pro Collagen, marine or bovine in caps or powder. Plus, fuel your workouts with NACA Platinum Pro BCAA caps. Find these and other NACA products at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is July 8th and 9th.
This is a slam dunk. Dive into Edmonton's vibrant basketball scene with exclusive interviews and expert analysis. I'm Paul Sir, and I host The Basketball Show every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440.
Feeling stressed? Tired of the daily grind? You could try yoga. Nah, just whack a golf ball as hard as humanly possible with 18 holes of pure therapy at Colonial Golf Club. Stunning fairways, the Colonial Grill and Bar, and the satisfaction of blaming your putter for all your problems.
Take that, Dave from accounting.
Colonial Golf Club. Cheaper than therapy and way more fun. Book your tee time now at colonial.ca.
Stingray All Good Vibes on Prime Video offers you thousands of concerts, karaoke songs, and relaxing nature scenes on demand. Benefit from the Prime Day promotion between July the 2nd to the 11th.
Let's go, girls.
Subscribe today to receive 2 months of service at 99 cents per month. Go to primevideo.com/Stingray for concerts, karaoke, and more. Prime subscription is required.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Can you fit Sports Encyclopedia on a business card?
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's the Lowdown at 12:20. Nice day. It was a little too hot yesterday, I think, right? It was, a little bit warm out there. 30 seems a little, drastic for our area of the world.
Yeah.
Minus or plus.
30 is a little too high,
Right.
whichever direction you go, or too low, depending which direction you go.
You bet.
For me, perfect temperature, like 18.
I like 22. I'll go 22.
Nice.
But blackjack is good too. The Lowdown is brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick, and it is time for Rumors, presented by Great Canadian Solar. Been helping homeowners and businesses harness the power of the sun for 15 years. Invest in solar and yourself. GreatCanadianSolar.com. Well, you've heard about it. You know about the big trade. Stan Bowman, I think, made his so far signature deal. He ends up giving up a very good prospect, Sam O'Reilly, somebody that, we had talked about, Gregor and I talked about on the free agent show, the idea that O'Reilly might get a 9-game audition. He's 19 years old. He's a two-way center. He's, helped the London Knights win OHL championships, Memorial Cup, good player, and kind of projects as a top 9, maybe a third-line center, but that's a vital role on a team. Now, they traded him, and they got a goal-scoring winger, a guy who projects as first or second-line scorer, not brilliant defense. We're going to talk to Cory Pronman about him coming up at 12:40 and what he brings. Cory and Scott Wheeler will appear on the Lowdown this week. They both like him a lot for different reasons, which I find interesting. This is a player who has some range to his abilities, and we'll dig down on that and talk about it. I do think, based on what I believe each player brings, I think Howard will end up on the second line with Leon Draisaitl and Vasily Podkolzin, and Savard more likely to play with a veteran center like Nuge, and then somebody with some beef like Trent Frederick. I like the third line. I like the idea of the second line, and the top line. For me, I think Mangiapane, based on what he did in Calgary and the years that he played there, and the fact that he still has enough skill to play a complementary offensive role, certainly with a guy like Connor McDavid, that might be a role Howard plays as this season goes along, but I don't know if putting a lot of pressure on Howard right away, or Savoy for that matter, would be, a good idea. Another area that the Oilers might want to look here, there's a list of 2025 signing rights expiring on August 15th. There's a lot of interesting players. The Oilers have 4. Matt Capone, who's already signed an AHL deal with the team, Yoel Mata, Thomas Mazura, and Luka Munzenberger. I doubt the other 3, aside from Capone, will be signed by the team. If they haven't yet, it's likely they won't. But there are always some interesting names and players that sometimes move around from team to team, and we'll see. There's Chase McLean for the Nashville Predators. There's Cameron Berg, who was a 4th-round pick in 2021 for the New York Islanders, and I always like to check the teams that are good at scouting and drafting, like Toronto is. They've got Mike Koster, was a 5th-round pick in 2019. He'd be an interesting player to look at. And the Washington Capitals have yet to sign Brent Johnson, who's a 3rd-round pick from 2021. Just something to keep in mind. Sometimes those players end up being more important than you think they are because the team can't sign them, and maybe there'll be some interest there. Other than that, we're going to get some quiet times for the NHL. This is one of the areas where retirements or signing overseas can be the rule of the day when we talk about things. Riley Nash has decided to call it career in the NHL. He was 36 years old. He was drafted by the Edmonton Oilers out of Cornell many moons ago, and he didn't sign here. He ended up going to Carolina. He had I think a fine career, two-way type, more of a checker than a scorer, but he certainly made the most of his career, and we wish him well. I always felt he gave as a reason not signing in Edmonton that there were too many centers, and I you kind of wish that he would have looked at the type of centers on the roster and realized that the Oilers had a lot of centers, but they didn't have a lot of two-way centers with size, and he was that, and it might have worked out really well for him with the Edmonton Oilers. Too late now, but. In the Major Leagues of Baseball, I don't know if it started yet. Earlier, there was a rain delay for the White Sox and the Jays. Does anybody want to comment? Top of the first now. I noticed it's not on television, so I didn't know if it was on. Does anybody want to comment about what the Jays are doing right now? Like, is there what
incredible.
in the HE double hockey sticks is going on? This is nuts. They don't lose.
No, it's incredible. This will be the franchise record or tie the franchise record if they win today.
Yeah, it's
insane. They are The best team in the AL East, do you think?
Oh, right now, there's no comparison. Tampa Bay's playing well. The Yankees are like they stepped into an elevator shaft. But for me, this full disclosure, I sat here and ripped them all winter when they didn't do anything aside from Santander. And guess what? This is what regression looks like. Their pitching is old as the hills and twice as dusty, and it's working brilliantly. The bats have come around. Some of the kids like Barger are just going like a supernova here. And they've got enough young bats that they could trade one for pitching at the deadline and still have enough left over. I mean, the moves they made, Jimenez is on DL, hasn't helped. Santander hasn't helped. But they're doing it. The pitching's good. Guerrero's playing well, but not like driving the team beyond, comprehension. It's not like when he cools off, you have to worry. In fact, I'd say there's a chance he heats up a little bit. Bichette's playing well. Defense is looking good. Kirk is playing really well. Crazy, man. Just crazy. Rumors of the Ravens possibly extending Lamar Jackson. A lot of
pretty good decision.
Well, since he signed his deal, though, that big one, there's been a lot of guys pass him, right?
Lamar?
Yeah.
No, I honestly think he might be the best quarterback in the NFL.
No, but I'm saying that other contracts have been signed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, for sure.
So he should probably get it.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. It happens though. Like it's just, the market resets itself, and then the guy who signs at the right time becomes the highest paid player. Like I always liken it to this one in the 2015 offseason. Mike Conley signed for a 5-year, $150 million contract, and he had never even made an All-Star game. It was unheard of, but the market reset itself and the cap went up, and he was the first free agent available to get that money. And it happens the same thing in any sport. And obviously, as quarterback's the most valuable position. There are a lot of very good quarterbacks. They will get that big money, but then when it's Lamar's time, he will get the big money again.
All right. A few texts coming in. Munzenberger, another wasted Holland pick. Well, he was a 3rd round pick. I mean, I don't know if he's ever going to play in the NHL. He's got speed, and he was a shutdown type. I think people rip on the scouting staff, but they didn't have a lot of picks in the Holland era. So, I mean, maybe Munzenberger didn't work out, but Holloway did. Broberg did. It's not the scouts' problem or fault that they lost those players. They did some good things. They've got a kid named Samuel Johnson who's coming here in the fall. He's a gigantic Swedish goalie. He led the Allsvenskan, which is the second league, but a very good league that has produced a lot of NHL players. And Samuel Johnson could be a real get by the scouting staff. Tide, I actually tried you donkeys on the YouTube. May I suggest you go with sunglasses, become the Bob McCown of 1440. Also, the kid with his ball cap on backwards needs to pick up. Oh, I don't think you did that.
Did what?
What he said you did.
Which texter?
I will never wear sunglasses on the radio.
I have them on now, and it feels really unnatural. I don't like it at all. Everything's darker. I feel like a D-bag.
You look like Biebs.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Worst guys to be than Biebs.
Sing My Mama Don't Like You, and She Likes Everyone. Go ahead.
My mama don't like you, and she likes everyone.
It's like he's here right now. That's how close it is.
I got to take these off. Also, what he said was for me to stop picking my nose. I haven't been, but I do. I touch my nose a lot. It's like a crutch I have.
Right.
Like I'm constantly doing that.
Well, I touch my glasses. I didn't realize
the top of my head a lot
until I watched me on YouTube. I touch my glasses a lot.
Yeah. Like I'm a very like fidgety person.
No, you don't say.
Yeah,
Well, it's weird to be on YouTube, but we'll all get used to it.
Here's the thing. Also, like Hacksaw, he's a texter into the show, into the station.
Yes.
I think he knows the kid with sunglasses is me. Like, let's not try and big dog me.
He's implying that you're not as famous as you are.
No, I'm just saying, like,
there you go with the nose.
Hacksaw. Come on, I think you don't need to try and big time me.
Right.
That's for Tide only. You can big time me. Greg's as well.
Okay.
And Kevin and Connor and Brandon.
What
and
happened?
Josh.
What happened between the Oilers and Munzenberger? I was really hopeful he'd pan out. Was looking forward to seeing him in the first pro season down in Baco this year. They probably here's what happens. It's a good time to talk about this because it'll come up again. You know, Matthew Savoy could get traded, and I'll tell you why. Because Stan Bowman didn't bring that player in. I always say brothers become cousins when management changes, and it just does. And sometimes it'll get really drastic. Like sometimes the manager will change and the coach will stay. And then the coach will keep playing a player that he likes that the manager doesn't. And the manager will trade that player. I'm not absolutely certain that happened with Toby Peterson, but I'm certain enough to mention it. And I think that does happen. Like no management coaching combination is always in agreement. Todd McLellan didn't want to play Jessa Puljujarvi, and he didn't want to play Griffin Reinhart. And he was right. You know, Jessa Puljujarvi is out of the NHL now, and everybody's blaming Jessa Puljujarvi. But the idea that you'd bring a kid who was 18 years old and not ready to the National Hockey League because the agent wanted it, and you would give in to that, it just tells you the state of the Edmonton Oilers organization at that time. They're far more mature now. You know, I mean, they didn't try to force Sam O'Reilly onto the roster. They made a trade. And I don't know if it's going to work out, but I think it's a reasonable bet. And examples like that, for me, show that this is an organization that has matured over the last decade. Doesn't mean they're going to win a Stanley Cup this year, but they got hella close in Bowman's first year and Holland's last year. And I guess, in a way, they were both kind of Holland years. This is now Bowman's team. I think he's changed that enough. Declan, if you're going to pick, go to the Total Spalding. What is the Total Spalding?
Well, Spalding's a brand of basketball, but I don't know.
Also, there's baseball.
Okay,
gloves.
yeah. So just a sporting. See, basketball brand. I don't know. I don't know what it meant.
Okay. If we lost Munzenberger to the German league, well, no. I mean, the Oilers obviously opted not to sign him, and then he cast about looking elsewhere. Afternoon, boys. I love the fact that you're on YouTube. We're not on all the time, though.
Yeah, so there I guess maybe the best way to describe it is there's been like a touch of a difference of ideas and plans. We are going to be on YouTube permanently.
So
come September.
So you'll let me go in the late summer, and then in September it'll be a new look.
Yeah. So
thanks for that.
No.
Oh, sure. I can see this. I've been in radio 45 years. You can't fool me.
No. We're not.
I go on holidays. You start playing polka music. I've been through it all, man.
Well, who doesn't like polka music?
Everybody loves polka music.
September, we're going to be on YouTube daily.
The mom
Today
and dads,
is
the soft tones.
I guess just a trial run. It's a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. You didn't even see me winky. You did just now.
I did.
Oh, good watch. Okay.
JB in the loader, LT Sick Nirvana hoodie. Thank you. It's my favorite hoodie. It's so damn comfortable. Oilers getting a win in a trade from outside media is surprising. Well, we'll find out. I mean, I think we have to have all constituents. We're going to ask Pronman. Pronman is an expert in prospects, and I see these two as being like similar in value. I don't think that there was any robbery on either end, but let's find out from Pronman, you know, and then we'll have Wheeler later in the week, and we can all draw our own conclusions. One of the worst things you can do is make a sweeping statement. Oh boy, the Oilers won this trade, because you'll look like a jackass 2 years from now, chances are. And there's people, I saw Matty out there saying, this kid's you can't just expect him to come into the NHL. Well, with respect, I would disagree with that. You know, the Oilers don't make this trade for an AHL player, guys, or girls. That's not what happened here. They believe this guy is ready. They wouldn't make this trade. There's no reason to. Sam O'Reilly wasn't a problem. In fact, he was an asset, a really good one. The best asset outside the NHL, AHL axis. And he might have even played 9 games this year in the NHL. No, sir. That was a really big piece they sent away. And the expectations on young Isaac Howard will be enormous. Based on his numbers, I think that people should be expecting 20 goals this year from that young man. Deck, it'll be interesting to see how OKC navigates all these big contracts while trying to keep a deep roster.
I was thinking that. So they just signed SGA to the 4-year, $285 million extension. Now today they've signed Chet to the rookie max, which is 5 years, $250 million. And there are apparently reports that Jalen Williams and the team are also getting close to that rookie max extension. So now we're looking at like $800 million ish. It'll be a little bit shy of that, tied up between these three players over 5 years for two of them, 4 years for another.
So they'll be the Toronto Maple Leafs.
It'll be really, really interesting to see what they can do. And the team will surely be into the luxury tax. And I don't know how they're going to end up staying under that second apron, although I guess they'll find a way. But the roster is going to suffer. And as such, you wonder what the team is going to look like. Because this is a team, when you look at age, what they did this season, and on paper, you think they can win many titles.
Yeah.
Now that question now it becomes more of a real question.
Can I ask you a non-related question about YouTube?
Yes.
Why is it when you're on YouTube, everything on your face itches, but you can't scratch it?
You can. I've been scratching it.
I know, but people accuse you of picking your nose. I don't want to go that way.
Damn it. You're right. My thing with because we've obviously talked about this. My idea kind of was it would be like a total peek behind the curtain.
Oh, so we weren't supposed to publicize it?
No, we were for sure. But it would just be like if you watch an Oilers Nation show on YouTube, it's very produced. This I thought would be a little bit more of a come hang out with us. Type deal.
So we don't get you mean we don't have the big banners in behind and the dancing little jigs things and things like that?
You got them right there behind you. You got some branding.
There's not a picture of like Rihanna behind me.
We should get that. Totally. What if you came into work tomorrow and Rihanna was here?
Well, she wouldn't be here because of me. So that would be number one. But I would.
I do think it'd be really hilarious if someone here just started dating a celebrity, and like we walk
like a really big celebrity, like the time Joe had the Taylor Swift.
Like we walk in and
photograph.
we're like, what's Dua Lipa doing here? And then like Brandon walks out and like gives her a kiss on the cheek and says, "I'll be ready in a second, babe."
I think we have a better chance with somebody like Ozzy Osbourne.
I think it would be. This is gonna sound so like weird, like duh, of course, but I think it'd be so funny to like date a celebrity as like a normal person. Like if I was just like, all right, guys, I gotta leave work now. And like Margot Robbie was waiting outside for me. Like we're going.
Have we gotten into your dreams here?
I just think
we slid into your dreams.
But don't you think it would be like? Would you rather be famous or would you rather date a famous person as like a regular dude?
I would rather be me. I'm okay there.
Yeah, you know what? That's the right answer.
Yeah.
Never change, but change a little.
What's the name of that goofy movie? I hate it with Julia Roberts and what's his doodle who did that bad thing to his wife.
Richard Gere?
No.
Are you? So you're not talking about Pretty Woman?
No. He was in England.
Oh, Notting Hill.
Yeah, Notting Hill. Isn't Notting Hill the same kind of a thing?
Notting Hill, yeah, that is exactly what it is.
Right. Yeah.
She's like the most famous movie star in the world.
Yeah.
He's a bookshop owner.
Right. So if that is the case, I want to be the roommate. That guy had it going on, man. Walking around in his gaunch, just like eating pizza like a slobola. That's my guy.
It's funny because someone on the YouTube commented, "Shout out Purse." He said Declan's about to bring up Sydney Sweeney again. I actually had a dream Sydney Sweeney was my cousin.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that would be awkward.
We were just like hanging out at like a family event or something. Just like, there's my cousin.
Your comments yesterday have now gotten infinitely weirder.
I would say we're through the weird looking glass here.
Yeah.
But it's okay because it's you. All right. On the way, Cory Pronman from The Athletic. We're going to talk about this trade and what it may mean in the future. And now, Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience, but it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-471-7380 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
You have a choice, and it's a hard one. GMC employee pricing or 0% financing at Wolf GMC Buick. A hard choice, but also super awesome. Get GMC employee pricing on our Sierra lineup, from the Sierra half-ton to the heavy duties. If you have cash, get discounts over $12,000 on many of our Sierras, along with GMC pricing. Or choose 0% financing on our Sierra half-ton lineup. And what a great selection of GMC Terrains and fabulous Buick SUVs to pick from. So many choices. But one thing's for sure, you are getting the best deal at Wolf GMC Buick.
There's still time to book your tournament at the Ranch Golf and Country Club.
As one of Alberta's top tourney courses, the Ranch makes hosting fun and easy for any group or business. No matter how unique or unusual, they'll accommodate your vision for an event no one will soon forget.
Start planning your tournament today at their beautifully landscaped course on the outskirts of West Edmonton. On-site event coordinators are here to help, but hurry, availability is limited and booking fast.
Visit theranchgolf.com.
Ease joint pain and support healthy skin with NACA Platinum Pro Collagen, marine or bovine in caps or powder. Plus, fuel your workouts with NACA Platinum Pro BCAA caps. Find these and other NACA products at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is July 8th and 9th.
Stingray All Good Vibes on Prime Video offers you thousands of concerts, karaoke songs, and relaxing nature scenes on demand. Benefit from the Prime Day promotion between July the 2nd to the 11th.
Let's go, girls.
Subscribe today to receive 2 months of service at 99 cents per month. Go to primevideo.com/Stingray for concerts, karaoke, and more. Prime subscription is required.
Hey, Canada. Set a reminder and get ready for Tim Hortons Camp Day on Wednesday, July 16th. Buy a coffee, a Camp Day bracelet, or donate on the Tim's app to help build a better future for Canadian youth at participating restaurants in Canada.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe that life shouldn't hurt. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't know that sometimes it really hurts. I mean, we've seen people at their worst moments in life, when they feel they have nowhere to turn, or at a time when they felt like their problem just wouldn't ever go away. We've also seen people who thought to themselves, it'll just go away on its own, or this is no big deal. I don't want to bother anyone about this. Don't know where to turn to, or think it's no big deal. Either way, we have the technology, techniques, and skills to help you get back to it, whatever your it may be. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
He's the only person to win an arm wrestling contest with the Philly Fanatic. The Lowdown with Lowetide, now on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
This is the Lowdown on Sports 1440, 1242. Brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Joined now by Cory Pronman from The Athletic. Cory, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Al.
Well, it's been so long since we talked, and it's been even longer since we sat down for a cup of coffee. You've grown some facial hair there, bub, based on your avatar on Twitter. Looking good.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I lost my razor a while ago. I just forgot to replace it.
So I read all your draft stuff. I love your stuff. We don't have you on anymore as much because the Oilers have run out of round picks apparently. But they did make a trade yesterday, and I wanted to get you on because it's interesting from both ends. They gave up, if not their top prospect, one of their two best prospects in right-handed center Sam O'Reilly, and picked up a scoring winger Isaac Howard. I see this trade as being pretty equal in terms of quality. The Oilers obviously get a plug and play as opposed to a player who's maybe a year or so away. How do you see this trade in terms of quality, and where do you think the difference is that might favor Edmonton?
Yeah, I think your assessment is fair. I think if you polled the NHL world, those two players would rate fairly similarly, that being Isaac Howard and Sam O'Reilly. I think Isaac's a little bit more talented offensively. He's a very creative player. He led college hockey in scoring. He's very skilled, very smart, very good skater, has a really good shot. But he's a small winger. He's not overly physical. His compete level is average, whereas like Sam O'Reilly is a two-way centerman. He plays fast. He competes hard. But the offense in his game is good. I think he'll be able to have a little bit of scoring in the NHL. When you're talking about probably a bottom six center in the NHL, a guy's probably going to kill penalties and play 12, 13 minutes and probably not score at a major level. But his role, some might argue, is a little bit harder to find than a third, second line scoring winger who's undersized. But Howard's going to be able to step into the league right away, probably could play on a second power play unit for them right away and help them win now. Whereas to what you said earlier, Sam O'Reilly's at least 1 or 2 years away from being a full-time NHL player.
One of the problems that any of us has in evaluating this is we're all talking about, the player Isaac Howard and what he did in the Big Ten, and he clearly was very effective there. And he's going to come to the NHL. And normally you'd say, well, he's not going to get any power play time. He's not going to play with a feature center. But in Edmonton, the possibility of playing with McDavid or Draisaitl is real. They've tried Jeff Skinner on left wing last year. Nugent Hopkins played with McDavid last year, but he was not a big time scorer at 5-on-5. In fact, his number was quite low based on playing with McDavid in previous seasons. So there is an opportunity here for him. So if we project this player as scoring that many goals in the Big Ten, if he gets enough of a push, you and I can be realistic about our expectations, and I really like what you wrote about him on draft day, where you were impressed with his ability to stick handle, think the game, and make passes, as well as his game as a shooter. So there may be more utility or more skills there than it first implied when we began reading some of the scouting reports. But it really does, even though we look at the skill set and we know that he's not going to be a fabulous two-way player or a center, and he's not 6'3", he is possibly coming into a really attractive situation, and that may blow up his numbers in a way that if we're being honest and assessing him, that can't cover, because that's really a matter of luck.
Yeah, I think that's all fair, and I expect he's going to start in the league with Edmonton. I actually believe that was the big hang-up between him and Tampa Bay, is he wanted some assurances that he'd play in the NHL, and Tampa wasn't willing to give that to him. And I think given that was kind of out there, I think Edmonton did quite well in being able to get this player. And Tampa actually was able to get a decent prospect back in O'Reilly, even though they lost some of their leverage. But I think Howard has the potential to be like maybe a 15, 20 goal, 40-point guy next year in the NHL, given the players he's probably going to play with. I think in terms of actual production, you got to imagine he's not on the first power play. That would surprise me. But I think the concern is just going to be his physical play and how he adjusts to the NHL in that way. There were times over the last 2-3 years where he can get pushed around a little bit. Definitely the start of his college career, he really struggled in that first year transitioning up a level. It's why he transferred out of Minnesota Duluth after his tough freshman year. So I think that first year in the NHL will be really fascinating for Howard. It could go well, but I've talked to some scouts who are skeptical about how that first year in the NHL is going to go for him too. But I think when you look at Edmonton, the thing is with Howard, I think they have a really similar, profile type of player in the minors there, and Matthew Savoy with the small, high-end talent forward. So if it doesn't go well for Howard, I could also see maybe them experimenting with Savoy at times too this season.
So it's Cory Pronman, our guest from The Athletic. I wonder, based on the coaching staff and what we saw from Chris Knobloch since he took over in November a couple of years ago, they do typically, this coaching staff plays it a little bit safe. You've got Savoy and Howard coming to the NHL at the same time. I just don't see both playing in the top six. I think one might be on the third line with, say, Nugent Hopkins, and the other, might slide up and down, and maybe they switch off at times. The Oilers need those players because they're value contracts and they're young and they don't really have a lot of youth on the roster. These two players, should they make the team, will be by far the youngest skilled players on the club. Let me ask you about the Oilers organization now that O'Reilly's gone, and let's assume that both Savoy and Howard are in the NHL. How dire is it in terms of players coming up who have a chance to play on a skill line? I like Samuel Johnson, the goaltender. I like Bo Akey as a defenseman, but I look at the forward group and I see, and I'm no disrespect to Stan Bowman. He really, in terms of prospects, he just got here. You've got to sign guys and draft them, and it takes a while, but it feels like the cupboard's really bare, and losing O'Reilly, even though they got a good player, losing O'Reilly puts them even more in danger here of falling way behind and not being able to catch up.
Yeah, I think your assessment is fair. I really like Samuel Johnson, who you just highlighted. I think he's going to be an NHL goalie. Bo Akey's got a chance to be a third pair guy in the NHL. After that, on the forward front, I don't know, as you say, you mentioned Johnson, and I think Emil Vinny, when he's healthy, has NHL talent. But up front, it's really the two guys they just drafted, Tommy Lafreniere and David Lewandowski, and even those two, they're nothing special. I think they have the tools to potentially be a bottom six forward in the NHL, but there's no guarantees with them. I wouldn't safely project them into that. I think, your assessment is fair. It's pretty bleak, and just because it's bleak right now does not mean it's going to be bleak in the NHL tomorrow. And these things tend to take quite a few years before they catch up to you. But I think, they've definitely put themselves in a position here where, with just where the age of their core is getting, like you're kind of, this next 3, 4, 5 years, like, that's the window, because at some point the players start getting older and there's really nothing else coming.
That's very true. I wanted to ask you as well. This is a question, maybe an overview question, to be honest with you, about what may happen this year with some of the teams. There's a big time player available at number 1 overall in 2026, and I have read your way too early look at the 2026 draft. And so, do you think it's possible, and I'm going to use Buffalo as an example, a team like Buffalo might pull the plug on their starting goaltender and make a trade because they're very interested in getting that number 1 overall pick or getting close enough to that number 1 overall pick? And for that, I'm asking because Edmonton obviously needs one of those guys, and one of these teams that's sort of hedging and going that way. If they get off to a fast start, one way to take care of it would be to trade the starting goalie. Am I creating a scenario that's completely outrageous and not possible, or is there some possibility that might be the case?
I'd say you're bordering on it a little bit, just because. I think Buffalo's under immense pressure to win. Like now, however many years it's been, 15, 16 years without making the playoffs. I don't even know what goalies they would have that would be that appealing, to be quite honest. But that goalies, their biggest issue is goaltending right now. But I get you're making like an example, and I understand what you're trying to say. Like, I think the issue is pretty much, and the Edmonton Oilers can be thanked in part for this, since that kind of run where they went Hall, Yakupov, Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, that the lottery rules have been changed in such a way that they've really de-incentivized such behavior.
Right.
I mean, if you finish last, you have what, a 25% chance, 20% chance of getting the first pick. That's a 3 and 4 chance that you're not going to get it. So even if you lost 80 games this season, it's very strong likelihood you're not picking Gavin McKenna in June. So I'd be surprised if somebody intentionally did that. That being said, there are a couple of organizations out there that are kind of hanging on by a thread in terms of how competitive their rosters are going into this season. You can look at Chicago, maybe at Arvid Soderblom, for example. And there's definitely a few organizations out there who are absolutely not trying to win this season and are trying to be young, where I could definitely see an opportunity for an Edmonton to help their goalie depth.
It's going to be a fun year. How from here, and this isn't fair to ask you, I would re-ask you in the spring, but is McKenna a guy that's a great number 1 overall pick, a generational talent? Where would you rank him this far out? And I understand it's a long way out.
I think he'd be close to where you would think like Jack Hughes was, where Rasmus Dahlin was going into their draft years, where it's a strong number 1. He's not McDavid. Like, he doesn't rise to that insane tier of talent, but he looks like a guy who could be an elite scorer in the NHL. I mean, the scouts who love him will say he reminds them a lot of Patrick Kane, who was a 1 overall pick. And I definitely think that's a very, realistic projection for him. We'll see how his draft year goes, obviously, but that's kind of where I think he stands at the moment.
All right. Thanks for this, Cory. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Sure thing. Thank you.
All right. There you go. Cory Pronman from The Athletic. He and I have known each other for what? It's got to be well over a decade. And brilliant assessor of talent. And we so appreciate it. We don't call on him much anymore because the Oilers don't have any picks. But if they ever get back to picking again, and the rotation of hockey suggests that will happen, then we will call on him because he's a brilliant assessor of talent. Ontario Moms, physical play is secondary to scoring. Look at Nuge, still waiting for him to throw a hit. Yeah, I see a lot of people saying two things. Well, this isn't a veteran skill scorer. Okay. The Oilers don't have $9 million. So what would you rather have them do? This is a really smart play for a team that needs a scorer. I like it. They needed youth. This is a really good play. Now, I don't know whether Sam O'Reilly is going to be a better player than this young fellow, Isaac Howard. I don't know that. But I do know that he's closer to the NHL, and we'll see. It's a reasonable bet by a team that doesn't have cap room this year. I think this is an astute play. This is the kind of thing smart teams do. I'm not saying it's going to work out. One of the things that I learned from watching the New York Islanders was not every move they made under Bill Torrey and Al Arbor worked. But, man, they tried a lot of them. They just did. They tried a lot of moves that nobody else would ever try. Bob Bourne was not drafted by the New York Islanders. They traded for him like the summer of their expansion draft, I believe. They traded for him. Smart teams do that. Sam Pollock traded for Doug Jarvis. Toronto drafted him. Pollock traded for him because he knew he's a real good player and he knew that Toronto needed a defenseman. So he made the move. The Oilers need this player. Tampa Bay made a really smart move. They got a great young prospect for him, and they played chicken. They're like, I don't care if I'm going to lose the player a year from now. Means nothing to me. You're not getting him unless you give me this player, and they won that deal. Here's the thing. It doesn't mean that Bowman failed because he got his guy. You can have two winners in a deal, and that may well be the case. Lowetide, I asked the guys earlier, but may have missed their answer. What do you think of having a third line like Florida and Henrique, Nuge, and Hyman? Then your top six could be Glimmer Twins, Howard, Savoy, Mangiapane, and Frederick. I think at some point that may well be the case. I don't think they're going to trust both of the young kids right away. Savoy helped his AHL team outscore like at 65% rate. That tells me he knows where to be on the ice, and he's a smart player. But he's not a big player, and he is fast, but he's not like McDavid fast. So it'll take him some time to play at a two-way level as he moves forward in the NHL. And then this young player out of the Big Ten, Isaac Howard, the reputation is he's not fab without the puck, so it's going to take some time, and I think he's going to need a center like Leon Draisaitl who can use Howard because he can score. They're both helping each other at 5-on-5. All right, I've rambled. Man, it's been an interesting hour. On the way in hour number 2, looking forward to talking to Kevin McCurdy. We will definitely talk about the news of the day. That'll be the main thing, but we'll also talk a little bit about free agency and what he sees happening. Mike Nuga from the Stingers will join us at 1:20, and Declinations talking a little NBA today. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Time for an update with Josh Fenwick.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 update brought to you by Papa John's. Feeding the crowd, get the triple play. 3 large specialty or 5-topping pizza for only $54 when you use promo code 3play at papajohns.ca. In case you missed it, the Edmonton Oilers have traded for Isaac Howard from the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Oilers have sent Sam O'Reilly down to Tampa in exchange. Alex Lyon is signed with the Buffalo Sabres on a 2-year, $3 million deal. He will serve as a backup for Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Over in the majors, full 15-game slate, the Blue Jays in the South in Chicago taking on the White Sox, looking for their 11th straight win. Eric Lauer is on the bump for the Birds. Blue Jays up 1-0 at the bottom of the second. Also, Dodgers-Brewers in action right now. They're at a draw in the middle of the third, 0-0. Off the diamond, the MLB will be using the automated ball strike system during the All-Star game next week in Atlanta. 4 games in the WNBA tonight. Sun topped the Storm 93-88. Valkyries crushed the Fever 80-61. Later today, Lynx Mercury and Wings Sky. Everett Riverhawks in action tonight in Bellingham taking on the Bells. WCL All-Stars were announced today as 4 Riverhawks made the team. Over in Wimbledon, both Jannik Sinner and Novak Djokovic winning their quarterfinals matches. The two will face each other in the semis on Friday. Coming up on the Lowdown with Lowetide, we'll be joined by Kevin McCurdy, Mike Nuga of the Edmonton Stingers, and today's edition of Declinations, Duncan with Declan. I'm Josh Fenwick. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe that life shouldn't hurt. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't know that sometimes it really hurts. I mean, we've seen people at their worst moments in life when they feel they have nowhere to turn, or at a time when they felt like their problem just wouldn't ever go away. We've also seen people who thought to themselves, it'll just go away on its own, or this is no big deal. I don't want to bother anyone about this. Don't know where to turn to, or think it's no big deal? Either way, we have the technology, techniques, and skills to help you get back to it, whatever your it may be. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
The sun is shining, the weather's warm, and some of Edmonton's favorite sports are back in season. If you're looking for the cherry on top of a perfect summer day, check out Play Alberta to experience casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Download the Play Alberta app today and deposit $20 or more with promo code SUMMER to claim a $100 casino bonus. That's promo code SUMMER for a $100 casino bonus on us. Redeemable once per Play Alberta account. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
Canada's biggest appliance sale is at the Brick. Get up to $1,000 off select major kitchen appliances. Convertible fridge freezer start at just $199. Barbecues start at just $299. Get up to 60% off clearance models and below cost scratch and dent items. In-store only. Plus, pay 0% interest on appliances until 2029. Best of all, they'll beat any competitor's advertised price. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Mr. Rooter rides in a hot air balloon.
Oh, wow. You can really see it all from up here. The river crossing the city like a water line, the Walterdale like PVC pipes, and the cars circling the Anthony Henday like waste swirling a toilet bowl. Which reminds me, which way to the bathroom?
There's no toilet in a hot air balloon.
Well, I will have to remedy that.
For a plumber who soars above the others, trust Mr. Rooter.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection? Incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Your Edmonton Elks face the BC Lions this Sunday at 5. Join the prehistoric party presented by Payworks. We're bringing back the Dino Nuggets at concession, Baby Dinosaur Crawl, and bigger, better T-Rex Combine at halftime. Tickets start at just $20 at GoElks.com.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
For all things golf carts, it's the Golf Cart people. Their certified techs provide expert service from maintenance to custom upgrades. Customers can explore the sales floor for new and used club car, Yamaha, and E-Z-Go models. The Golf Cart people stock a wide variety of parts and accessories to keep every ride in top shape and offer convenient rentals for tournaments, weddings, and festivals. Trusted for sales, service, parts, accessories, and rentals since 1997. Visit the Golf Cart people at golfcartpeople.com, your complete golf cart solution.
You need the lowdown? It's with Lowetide right now on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Buick.com. We're at a little after 1 o'clock today. The Blue Jays underway, and last I checked, they were up 1 Cobb against the Chicago Whites. I don't even know why we give the scores anymore. We should just say the Jays are playing the White Sox. We should just say the Jays are in the midst of defeating the Chicago White Sox. They're up 1-0 Hauser on the mound for the White Sox, Lauer for the Blue Jays, and we're in the third inning. They're just on fire. They are absolutely on fire. We're just ahead of Kevin McCurdy. We lost the feed. Ken says, could Howard be another Alex DeBrincat for McDavid? Similar statures, both shooters. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they're hoping for. Like, this is a guy who scored, a lot of goals in a good league. Big Ten is very good hockey, and we'll see if he can play with McDavid. But if he can, and people are like, well, he's not. What about his speed? Well, Patrick Maroon didn't have a lot of speed, and he could score with McDavid. And then people are like, well, what about his size? Well, Kata Yamamoto did really well. Leon Draisaitl. This Matthew Savoy youngster did pretty well in an audition when he played with Draisaitl. I know people talk about size like it's the vital thing. And I think that if you have two players with similar skill sets, you always would take the bigger player. And the bigger, faster player would be ideal. But this is a pretty rambunctious fellow. He's not afraid. He has provably scoring skill, and that's what they were looking for. And sure, it's a risk, but I mean, I just absolutely reject the idea that he can't, come in here and play well because he hasn't played in the NHL before. The Oilers don't have $9 million. This is a really good check down from signing a free agent to an 8-year, $9 million with a no movement clause. They've got enough of those. Let's try something else. Joined now by Kevin McCurdy. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Alan?
Good. I had an article all written last night. It's up at The Athletic today. It's about the Rookie of the Year award and the jinx for the Oilers. And I had it all put to bed with young Matt Savoy. And then bada boom, bada bing, it became an article about two players. And I'm not sure who has the better chance. But what's your first blush thoughts about Isaac Howard as an Edmonton Oiler?
I like Howard a lot. I think that this is a pretty crafty move by Bowman to move the clock up a couple of years. I still think Savoy might be the number one prospect for the team. I sort of loosely agree with Bruce Kurlock that it was a number two for number two swap, if that makes sense. And it sounds like Howard wasn't really interested in signing with Tampa Bay. So I think it's a move that makes sense for both teams, even though it comes at somewhat a high cost.
Do you think I've always felt like general managers who make trades like this are not in the mood to have their player play depth roles or head to the AHL? I don't know what kind of agreement was made when the contract was signed, but do you think that he would be a player who would get a push in front of Savoy because of his pure goal scoring skill?
No, I really think that Leon benefits from a player like Savoy, who is kind of a crowbar on skates, so to speak. Like Savoy's got a lot of skills in addition to that, but his forward check is incredible, and I think that he's Savoy has at least played a couple of professional games, and we haven't seen anything from Howard yet, so we'll see how it goes.
Do you see Howard starting in the AHL
in the preseason and the first couple games of the season?
Kevin, we're going to get a different.
We'll see how everything shakes out.
We're going to get a different connection with Kevin. It's in and out, and I'm not able to. I'd like to hear his answer, but I'm not able to hear him, and I'm sure that you are not as well. So we'll get Kevin back here in a couple of seconds and re-ask that question. People are making up trades and sending them to me. That's great. Appreciate that. Always nice to hear trades before they happen, even if they don't happen. Will a guy like Mangiapane be helpful in developing Howard, a smaller guy who gets it done in the NHL? That's a great question, and you hope that there's an opportunity for them to play several years together. And Mangiapane and others, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is undersized and a terrific two-way player, and that can be developed. And we shouldn't assume that this player can't improve in those areas. He's obviously a gifted scorer. So that's the guys. Could Howard turn into a DeBrincat smaller guy? Great shot. We've had that question twice, and I would say that that's a really good outlier opportunity. But I don't think we can. I think you have to give him like 30 games to tell us what he is. Right? He doesn't have an NHL track record. I don't think that should keep the Oilers from putting him in the NHL if he earns it in training camp. Did we get Bruce back? We're holding on. Dre says, remember when I proposed to get a finisher yesterday, you all panned it? Just watch Tribe will get 140 points feeding those kids the sauce all day long, baby. I recall reading a text from you, but I think it was in regard to going out and making a trade and having free agent money. And I think that was where the disconnect was. Kevin is back. Kevin McCurdy is back, and we appreciate you rechecking in with us, Kevin. We were talking a little bit about Savoy maybe getting the push over Isaac Howard.
Yeah, I think that's probably the likely outcome, if I'm being honest with you. I think Howard hasn't played any pro games yet, so we're going to see how it plays out in the preseason and in, the first couple of games of the regular season to see how pro ready he actually is, and then we'll have a better idea from there. But I think Savoy is almost certainly a lock for the team this year.
Do you see Howard possibly starting in Bakersfield?
I don't think so. I think it would, if you're going to sign somebody of this caliber and you're going to make a trade with somebody, you're going to move the age bracket up specifically so that they're, of NHL age, I think you got to take a swing at it and see what you got.
So if we're looking at Howard specifically, maybe a third line with Nugent Hopkins and Frederick or something along those lines, is that how you see it breaking down?
Yeah, I think you'll see some of that. I think you'll see some of him with McDavid on the top line just to see what he's got and if there's a fit there from a chemistry point of view. But yeah, I think the third line's probably a pretty safe bet.
One of the questions I have after this deal, because I looked at Nugent Hopkins' numbers with McDavid scoring numbers last year at 5-on-5, and they weren't strong, Kevin. And I really like Vasily Podkolzin on the left wing with Draisaitl, but he's not a scorer. And so if you're looking at left wing last year, the 5-on-5 scoring by Nuge and Podkolzin wasn't fabulous. Do you see maybe Frederick sliding in on a skill line? Like one of the top two lines, or where would you go if you were looking to replace one of Nuge and Podkolzin from a year ago at left wing and you weren't going to use Isaac Howard?
Oh man, that's tough. I think you may see Frederick up in that space. You may also see Henrique up on the first line a little bit. I remain to be convinced that the roster is going to make it to opening day the way it is. I think there is a possibility that they still may move somebody, whether that's Janmark or Henrique or somebody like that, because we're getting a surplus of forwards here. But I think that if they move Rico potentially, then you might see Frederick up in that spot, and if they don't, I think you'll probably see Henrique up in that one LW spot for at least for a look.
One of the areas we're in conversation with Kevin McCurdy about, both Matthew Savoy and the new hire, and that is interesting to everybody, Isaac Howard. One of the things we know about Matthew Savoy that we don't know about Howard is foot speed. According to NHL Edge, and I know it wasn't a tremendous sample size, very small amount that Savoy played in the NHL last year, but he was in the 92nd percentile in top skating speed, and that gives you an idea about I mean, the assist that he had, it was on a dump in, and he beat the defenseman to the puck and slid it out to Draisaitl for a goal. The play happened in like milliseconds, and part of that play was Savoy's foot speed. Does that, we can't say it gives him the edge over young Howard because we just don't know. But does that give Savoy maybe a little bit of an extra edge going into training camp because they've seen what he's done?
I think so, yeah. And I think that there's a very, very high probability that Draisaitl takes Savoy under his wing. To me, it just seems like a archetype of player that Draisaitl would mesh well with. We've seen him with the Yamamotos. We've seen him with, these kind of a little bit smaller but faster guys who are, basically a pry bar with skates. And that play honestly sold me on Matt Savoy just by itself. Just watching how quickly he got inside. He beat a guy that was, I think, 6'5". I think it might have been Ristolainen, if memory serves me. Yeah. He beat Ristolainen inside, stripped the puck off him, fed it to Draisaitl. That puck was in the back of the net in under a second. Like, it was such a nice play. And if they can turn that into any sort of repeatable chemistry, I think there's a really good chance that Podkolzin and Savoy are who end up under Draisaitl's wings this year.
Do you see, Kevin, the free agencies happened, and one of the, underrated moves that hasn't gotten talked a lot about is Curtis Lazar coming onto the team. And I think that most see him as a possibility for number 4 center. And that would obviously mean Noah Phillips going back to the AHL. Do you see that being a close race based on what we know currently?
I see it being a fairly close race. I'm going to be honest. I don't know a lot about Lazar as a player. I haven't watched a ton of film from him. But just to turn to a tweet that Bob Stauffer wrote this morning, he projected the 4 centers to be McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent, Henrique in that order, with Lazar coming in number 5. And that's paying no heed to the Noah Phelps or the Thomas X or the other potentials down the middle, right? So I think Philp is going to have a bit of a tough time cracking this lineup, especially if the Oilers don't move anybody else out.
And I wanted to touch on that because I'm fairly convinced that Matthias Janmark is the odd man out. Are you?
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance that Matthias Janmark either starts in Baco or starts on a different team. But that's just this guy's opinion.
Do you see anything? I don't, but I want your opinion on this because I think a lot of fans believe this is still the biggest issue. Do you see a goaltender move here before training camp?
I would be suspect that Pickard is your backup goaltender come the start of the year. If I was a betting man, I would probably be looking at either him starting in Bakersfield potentially, or them moving on and finding another backup to roll with. So I'll be really interested to see what Bowman does there. I do think that the goaltending could use a bit of a tweak. I know everybody is a little bit rabid to just burn it down and start again. But I think if we build a proper goaltending ops department with a director of goaltending and some, specialists underneath that, and maybe look at just supplementing the backup, that might be enough at least to get us to the trade deadline.
Kevin, thanks for this. Appreciate it very much, man.
No worries. You have a good week. Take care, everyone.
You too. There's Kevin McCurdy talking to us about the new hire, Isaac Howard, and about Matt Savoy, and who might, land in the top 6. It's going to be an interesting debate. We'll find out in the fall and even on opening night. That might not be the answer. There are times where things get switched out, fairly quickly as time goes on. What I hope is both get their 400 at bats. It's important that they play and that they let the organization know what they are and how they can play based on their on-ice results. Sometimes in organizations, those things don't happen. They just trade them away and they flourish in another town. All right, it's 1:18. We're talking a little bit of basketball on the way. Mike Nuga coming from the Stingers on the way. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Canada, resilient, free, and powered by you. For over 15 years, Great Canadian Solar has been helping homeowners and businesses harness the power of the sun. They source equipment locally, utilize Canadian manufacturers wherever possible, and believe you should create your own electricity. Reduce your carbon footprint and slash your energy bills with clean, renewable energy. Invest in solar and invest in yourself. Let's build a brighter, sustainable future together. Visit GreatCanadianSolar.com today and get started.
Ease joint pain and support healthy skin with NACA Platinum Pro Collagen, marine or bovine in caps or powder. Plus, fuel your workouts with NACA Platinum Pro BCAA caps. Find these and other NACA products at Vitality Health Foods, where customer appreciation is July 8th and 9th.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 Triple E. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the two best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
The employee pricing event is on now at GMC. Right now, get up to $12,000 off the 2025 Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate. Bring power wherever you go with a 6.2-liter Ecotec V8 engine with dynamic fuel management technology. Bring style to the open road with a signature Denali Vader chrome grille and accents. And keep comfort top of mind with available Super Cruise hands-free driver assistance capability. Employee pricing is on now. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Author, musical connoisseur, sports know-it-all. Yes, a man for all seasons.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's 1:20. This is the Lowdown for Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out at wolfgmcbuick.com. Beautiful day. Looking forward to Friday. And the Stingers playing at Scarborough. They're on the road, and they'll be in Ottawa next Thursday, Vancouver, Winnipeg, and then home versus Vancouver on August 1. And so we are now joined, looking forward to this conversation, from Michael Nuga. Michael, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me on the show.
I've been to a few basketball games in my life. I love watching the Stingers. They're fabulous. I've also watched some Runnin' Rebs games in Vegas, and that's an atmosphere I'd never seen in my life. I've been to lots of different sporting events, and that the Runnin' Rebels do it, man. That is such an atmosphere there.
Yeah, playing in Vegas was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my basketball career so far. Just that whole atmosphere, the history, you definitely feel it when you step into that gym. And playing there was an honor for sure.
When you signed with the Stingers, I read a lot about how you felt about the team and about playing professionally and building a career. How has it been for you? What's the experience been like playing in Edmonton and playing pro?
Well, first to answer just playing in Edmonton, it's been just nothing short of amazing. The whole staff, the ownership, the coaches, they do such a great job of just making sure that the players are comfortable. And, it's not a long season. Usually our seasons are like August to May. So this is such a short amount of time to really be able to develop a bond with other players and staff. But over here, there's such a family environment that, it feels easy to come to work and just to be here. It almost feels like, like this is like a second home for me.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. What were you saying?
Well, I was just going to say about you obviously come to the Stingers, and they're a team that started off slowly and really coming on now. How much a part of this team do you feel having joined not that long ago?
I feel a big part of the team. The guys and the staff make everybody honestly know that we're all a part of the winning. There's no one person that's going to get this done for us. It's going to be a team effort, and they let everyone know that we're important, and coach does a really good job of that. So, when you feel important, you act accordingly. So it's easy to work.
Mike, Declan Kruger here. I just wanted to jump in and ask you a few things about what you said when you signed with the Stingers last year. You said, listen, I'm a fan of how Coach Baker approached the game as a player. I'm excited how he does it as a coach. I want to learn from him. Like, what are some of the things specifically that he does as a coach and that you saw him do as a player that you watch and you're like, okay, like I'm trying to learn from this. I like what he's doing. I like the sets he's putting us in. Like, I like the half court offenses he's running. Like, what are some things Coach Baker does that attracted you to the Stingers?
Yeah, I think, just a lot of the principles, I guess, that he might have grew up in playing basketball are similar things for me as well. Just the intensity in which he plays with. One thing that I'm really learning from him is just attention to detail and how much little things, the smallest things matter in terms of like scouting report or, the team's offensive tendencies and things like that. One thing he does a really good job of is letting us know his basketball knowledge. And that's just something that I can learn from literally every day. So I'm just learning more of the X's and O's of basketball, maintaining that same intensity on the court for every possession and, just little tips and tricks to just be a better basketball player on the court. George JB does a real good job of helping us with that for sure.
I'm watching some of the highlights the CEBL puts out, and it looks like, from what I can see, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it looks like your pet move, you get it on the wing, little dribble drive, get to the elbow, step back, midi. Like, is that kind of your bag? That's what you feel most comfortable doing?
I actually didn't shoot that many mid-ranges early on in my professional career, but as I continued to get better and teams continue to scout, the scouting reports only get better at the higher as you go up in levels. I had to learn to add more things to my game. I was mostly just like a kind of a layup and three guy, and then I developed my game into shooting a lot more mid-ranges, and we're still going. I'm still young in my career, so much more to grow.
So, like, you're born in Nigeria, grow up in Toronto. How old were you when you moved to Toronto?
I actually came back twice, so I went one when I was 1 and then one when I was 6.
Okay, so yeah, so like not a whole lot of time in Nigeria, obviously, but you still like go from Nigeria to Canada. Then you're playing JUCO down at Eastern Florida State, then Portland State, then Kent State over in Ohio, then finally UNLV. Now obviously played overseas, played here in the CEBL. Like, just talk a little bit about some of those culture shocks going from place to place for a guy like yourself.
Yeah, I've been, When hearing you say it, it's like, I've been in a lot of places just hearing you say it. But honestly, it's been a blessing. I have relationships literally I feel like all over the world. Like, I literally feel like I have really good relationships all over the world. I got to learn different cultures, different cities. So it was only a blessing for me. Because like I said, I got to develop some really good relationships in all the places I've been, learn different styles of basketball, and so I'm thankful for my journey for sure.
Well, I'm speaking of the journey. I'm reading here, and correct me on the pronunciation if I don't have it, but you went to Brebeuf Jesuit Preparatory School. It was the only like Jesuit Catholic school in Indianapolis or something. I'm assuming you went obviously because it's a prep school and to play ball. But like, was there ever any like, was it just because of that, or did the whole Jesuit Catholicism have anything to do with it?
My faith is Christian, but that was literally just that was a basketball move. It was a basketball move for sure.
When you look at your game specifically, like what do you think you're the most comfortable with? Is it finishing at the rim? Is it beating guys off the dribble? Is it being a strict 3-point shooter? Then like, obviously on the other side, what are some things that you really like to key up on and things you really want to look into as you continue to grow in your career, like you said?
Yeah, offensively for sure. I definitely feel my strengths are, getting to the basket, creating for other guys. But my game has developed so much since starting that I feel like I can do everything now. Obviously, I can work to do things at a higher level, but I feel like I've put in so much time and effort off the court, and just with my training, that I've developed from just not only being a layup kind of player to I shoot mid ranges, to I shoot threes, to I go in transition, so I get my guys involved. So I think my game has just developed, and just watching film and being lucky enough to play with high level players, I just keep getting better as my career goes.
Two more quick ones from me, Mike, then I'll toss it back to Lowetide since this is his show, of course. Was there a player you really moderned your game after? And second, if all the Stingers are having a dunk contest, who's winning?
Right. Okay. So I had a unorthodox favorite player growing up, which was Monte Ellis.
Really?
I literally, he was my favorite player. Okay. 1000%. LeBron is my GOAT, but Monte Ellis was my favorite player to watch. So I modeled my game a lot after him. And if the Stingers did a dunk contest and everyone was serious, I would win.
Okay, there we go.
That's a great answer.
Everyone was serious, I would win.
Final question for you. 5 in a row, 5-0 in the last 5. Home record 6-2, 3-4 away on a road trip now. Is this kind of a chance for this team to bond? Because, it started slowly, but it's really come on. And I think that the general morale must be really high. You're on the road and an opportunity here out east to maybe bond a little.
Right. Yeah, it's a great opportunity for us to bond. I mean, I don't think our next home game is until August 1st.
Yep.
So we have literally the whole month of July to just literally we're not going to be with our families because we're going to be on planes and in hotels and all that. So it's a great time for us to probably shoot the stuff, play cards, like normal stuff that we do, and hopefully continue this winning streak, because it definitely feels good. Definitely feels good for sure.
Thanks so much for this. Appreciate it, Mike.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There you go. Mike Nuga from the Stingers. We've interviewed 3 or 4 of these cats, and they're all really good people. They're
all really cool guys.
And I love that like the lingo and the verbal.
Well, I hope they don't think I'm like they're like, who's this white kid trying to act like he
I
knows
think that's
ball.
exactly what they're thinking.
I gotta go. They gotta let me come practice.
You know what you should do is you should go like win the dunk contest with.
I used to be able to touch the rim. Never was able to dunk. I don't think I could touch I remember like in basketball tournaments when we'd be like in layup line, like kids would be dunking and stuff, and I'd be the one slapping the backboard.
Yeah.
Like you'd go dunk, Declan slapping the backboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember we used to in gym we would play 21, and it would be
great
like,
game.
Coach Jones would be like, "No, you got to get 21 before you can go back, to science." We'd be hammering.
You were
around.
that kid. You were like
yeah. Well, we didn't want to go back,
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I thought you guys were just so trashy. I thought you were like getting to 14 and being like, we're done with this. I'm going back to science.
No, we wanted to
that.
milk it, and we were truly bad.
I like that. That's way better.
I mean, the biggest problem for me playing basketball was inseam. A lot of people are like, oh, he can't throw the ball. I just was too short to get anywhere. That's the problem.
Yeah, that was my problem too. That's why I'm not in the NBA right now. That and lack of talent and athleticism and skill, but the height mostly.
Really, and no college would accept you.
Nope.
No. LT,
wasn't a good enough shooter for being 5'9" and white. They're like, kid, you got to at least be able to shoot. And I was like, I can't shoot.
Like you're saying the opportunities weren't there because you were 5'9" and white. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Don't have a handle yet, says LT. I know it's not Oilers related. Hope you let it slide. I got a question about my Winnipeg Jets. Jonathan Taves in, Nikolai Ehlers out. Do you think the locker room value game trumps the on-ice production loss? Thoughts on Taves? Go Jet, go. I think Ehlers is a great player. Injuries are always a factor. I think Taves was a great player. There's a wild card there. But I think the Winnipeg Jets are an extremely well-run organization. They procure talent in a very effective way. In many ways, the Winnipeg Jets act like the New Jersey Devils used to, where they lose a player like Ehlers and seemingly out of the blue, within 6 months, there's a replacement who can lock and load and plug and play. And so I never worry about the Jets because the Jets seem to be one of those organizations that covers themselves 6 ways to Sunday. And I think they will again. I cheer for Taves. That's all I can say. A wonderful player, one of my all-time favorite players at the World Juniors. I loved him and I've loved him his entire career. I hope he gets back and I hope he makes everybody just remember what a wonderful player he was at his peak. Maybe the netting, or if you had a trampoline, from Brad.
No, I could touch the rim.
Well, but you said once. That's not really.
No. I could touch the rim.
Oh, you said once though.
Did I? I could touch the rim. I couldn't do it now.
I think he meant as in once upon a time.
I see. Okay.
Yes, thank you. If that's right. That is what I was saying.
So,
yes.
So let's review here. What kind?
Did
you play high school basketball?
Yeah, I was.
How many points did you average a game?
Well, I was a big passer. Like I really modeled my game. I must have been like 8.
Okay, so you were a high school Magic.
Steve, I really patterned my game after Steve Nash.
Oh, really? That's awesome. I love that style
and
of
I
player.
think Steve Nash is like one of the most overrated players ever, which is hilarious.
Yeah, but Canadian, we can't say that.
Yeah, and before that, South Africa.
Never won anything.
And here, we won 2 MVPs. That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, you're
Never
right.
made it out of the Western Conference Final.
Well, because they weren't that good.
I'm actually 5'11". I'm 5'10 3/4, but I tell people I'm 5'9". That's a little secret.
Oh my God.
You know it's true, Josh.
Yeah, I do, because you and I stood. You told me you were 5'9", and I was like, "Well, I'm 5'9", and so we stood up, and I was like barely shorter than you, but you're still like, "Oh yeah, well, I'm just 5'9", and you made me feel short.
Yeah.
People who lie about their height going the wrong way.
Because here's the thing:
you pull that kind of stunt on me again, I will drop how old you are.
No, please. Here's the
25.
thing: 5'11" is such a made-up height. Like no one's actually 5'11".
That's not true.
No, people who are 5'9" say they're 5'11".
Isaac Howard's 5'11".
And Isaac Howard's probably 5'9". So anytime I would tell people, like I would just never tell people I'm 5'11" because I'm like, they're not going to believe me. I'm just going to tell them I'm 5'9".
Robert Nilsson was listed as 5'11" his whole career. I bet he was 5'8". I'm not even kidding. And he never checked a lick.
Oh, yeah.
Never. I swear to God, you know how like they have the anthem? and the referees go to center ice and all that, he would go to center ice and he would just wait for the puck. And he was 5'9".
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a pretty common thing.
To be 5'11",
Well, just
and 5'9", and say you're 5'11".
Just to add a few inches to the height there.
Yeah, that's the only addition that we make, though, in terms of. Okay. Lies about his age as well, Lowetide. He's not to be trusted. Well,
I don't lie about my age. We're just keeping it ambiguous. I'm anywhere from 26 to 29.
That's not really ambiguous. The difference between being 26 and 29 is that you can hold your beer better at 26.
Yes. Correct.
Do you drink a lot of beer?
When I drink, I like beer.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say I drink a lot of it.
One day, it'll be many years from now, you will go to the bar with friends. Maybe you'll Uber. And you'll go, okay, I'm feeling good. I think I'm going to have another one. By the third beer, you'll go, what is this rumbly?
Yeah.
I feel burpy. You reach a point, if you drink beer, like I drank a lot of beer in my life, where your body goes, oh, okay, we're just going to, have gas.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
Well, what are you going to do? I do think
this is like a beer commercial gone wrong.
For sure. This one's not getting aired. I do think it's probably good that I'm not like a big hard alcohol guy.
No.
I don't like it.
But you do the gummy puff, right?
Is that weed?
Oh, I don't know. I
don't
I'm
know.
Not familiar with it. Oh no, you're the swipe right guy.
No,
okay,
not that either.
All right, on the way,
0 for 2.
declarations. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Are vanishing. McPizza bites missing in Italy. Big Rusty stolen from Germany. Teriyaki chicken sandwich disappears in Japan.
Hey, thanks for
and a
that,
Biscuit
by the way.
McFlurry
Appreciate it.
blackout in Belgium. Oh, this just in. We can now confirm the stolen favorites have resurfaced at McDonald's Canada. The international menu heist. Try them all while you can. For a limited time in participating McDonald's in Canada.
This is a slam dunk. Dive into Edmonton's vibrant basketball scene with exclusive interviews and expert analysis. I'm Paul Sir, and I host The Basketball Show every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440.
Hey, everybody, it's Team Principe, the Prince of Puns, and I've got something that definitely will float your boat. How would you like to join me and the superstars of hockey on an exotic holiday? Join us on a 7-night cruise through the Mexican Riviera, leaving from LA and including Cabo, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, and more. While we relax and cruise the tropical waters and have some drinks with umbrellas in them, you could attend an intimate meet and greet with legends like Bill Ranford, Jason Strudwick, Kelly Buchberger, Ron Lowe, and more. Don't miss out on every hockey fan's dream cruise, the Edmonton Hockey Legends Cruise. It's going to be one haul of a trip. Prices start at just $23.99, and part of the proceeds support the Ben Stelter Foundation and Kids with Cancer.
Visit cast.tours/Edmonton or call 1-833-347-7678. Call and save $200 when you mention promo code Stingray Radio. Cast Tours, 1-833-347-7678.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh.
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair loss is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's personal. Let's discuss all the cutting-edge options available so you can make a great impression every time.
Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
It's happened again, and construction season is in full swing. Job delayed, money lost, and clients disappointed because your rigging failed and it wasn't inspected. Don't let this happen to you. Have your lifting slings, fittings, hoisting tools, and safety harnesses checked with Titan Supply. Titan Supply offers certified on-site and in-house rigging inspections and service, so they can repair it, replace it, and recertify it. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary, and at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Author, musical connoisseur, sports know-it-all. Yes, a man for all seasons.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Lowdown with Lowetide at 1:38, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. This is the Declinations segment, brought to you by the Edmonton Elks, the prehistoric family pack, 2 adult tickets, 2 kids tickets, 2 Dino Kids meals for only $77 this Sunday's game. Get tickets at goelks.com, and that is prehistoric pricing. You could probably have done that in 77, but not much after. All right, sir. Are we talking the round ball?
Well, it's got to be the round ball, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, NBA offseason always. You're like a big NBA offseason guy. You
The
appreciate
NBA
how
offseason
crazy
is
it gets.
the
Yeah.
craziest offseason in sports.
I would agree.
7-team trade.
Yeah.
That's not even the biggest trade.
No, it was well, it might have been with Kevin Durant
Thanks for
being there,
joining us.
but yeah,
Appreciate
to your credit, like it's always something. And this year's actually a significant down year in terms of the news and everything. Like LeBron
So
opting
far.
into his player option. We'll see what happens come next offseason for him. Speaking of crazy though, I wanted to bring this up because the Wizards traded Kelly Olynyk to the San Antonio Spurs
Tampa Bay,
from
so I
Malachi
think it's
Brown
a
and Blake Wesley in a 2026 second-round pick.
It's in and out, and I'm not.
If you had given me 29
You'll
guesses,
see how
I don't know
everything
if I would have
shakes
guessed Kelly Olynyk was on the
You're gonna
Wizards.
get another-
I had no idea. Josh, did you know Kelly Olynyk was on the Wizards? Right. And were you like, did you have the same reaction I did? You were like, Kelly Olynyk, he's on the Wizards? Yeah.
But they
Kelly-
only have a certain number of players. Like, it's not like they have 35 players on a team.
Right. Yeah. It's like 15 to a roster max. You'll generally have a rotation of kind of 12 max, really probably 8 or 9, 10, I guess. If you, yeah, but I just had, I had no idea because here's the funny thing. So this is actually his 4th team in the year 2025. It's July, so only 7 months. He was on the Raptors in 2025, traded to the Pelicans, then as part of the Jordan Poole deal, got sent to the Wizards, and now goes to San Antonio. He is 34 years old, and that makes sense when you think about the fact that he was drafted in 2013. But he also is one of those guys that you're like, wait, he's not still 28. Just so weird. Like the fact that he is like in the league kind of is crazy. But beyond that he was on Washington, like I just had no idea. That's what I'm saying. If you sat here and we did an entire segment, it was like, tell me what team Kelly Olynyk's on. I think I would have named all 29 teams before I named the Wizards.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
but what are you going to do? I guess some of the bigger news probably that came out now is that OKC and Chet Holmgren have agreed to a rookie max extension, 5-year, $250 million. So now between him and SGA, that's I think like $535 million.
Let's try something. Just walking
locked
around.
up. And they gotta sign Jay Will, who is better than Chet. And it looks like that's going to be the rookie max as well. So now you're looking at, you're going to have one guy on a 4-year, 285. 2 guys on a 5-year deal, except SJ, like he has 1 year left of his current deal, so it'll be like 5 years. Now, granted, the others will be 6 years, but we're looking at like $785 million for over 5 years, essentially for 3 players. And I said this, like,
that's interesting.
I don't know how, like staying under the second apron will be a challenge, but they'll make it happen because you have to. But then it's like, what does the rest of it? It's just going to be Phoenix. It's going to be Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and then a bunch of mid-level exceptions. And OKC, like I think those 3 should be good enough to lead them deep, regardless, because those are like SGA is a historically good player,
right?
Like if like SGA, by the way, like cover your ears, old heads. We're already looking at like a borderline top 30, 35, 25 resume of all time. Like he's already reached some pretty rarefied air. Then you have a guy like Chet, and I think Chet, he wasn't great. Like he's a good player, and I think he's going to be very good. But he wasn't great this year. He didn't jump out to you in the playoffs. He wasn't great defensively in matchups. He's good at the rim, but he wasn't great in matchups. Jalen Williams, like I like Jalen Williams a lot. I think he's a good player, but so much of the value of this OKC team came from the rest of the guys they had there. Like those 3 are great, and those 3 are the best players for sure. But Case and Wallace made it possible, and Lou Dort made it possible, and Alex Caruso made it possible, and Isaiah Hartenstein made it possible. Now, granted, some of these guys are still under contract, but you just wonder when it comes time to move money around, and when it comes time to let guys walk because they can't re-sign them, you kind of wonder what this team is going to look like. And so I'm just very curious to see what OKC's what their future is going to look like in the league. They're contending for championships.
Clearly in a window here, right? So you want to lock and load a little bit, like the Golden State did that.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, when they got they did bring in some people from outside because they wanted to extend it, and it worked well.
Yeah.
Until it didn't.
Yeah, like they did it right. I don't know. I just think you have to pay these guys, right? Like
they won't let you not pay them.
You gotta
Like,
pay Shea.
It's a law of Toyland.
And this is the thing. Like your Shea's obviously you pay him whatever. Shea fired his agent because the conversation is, "Hello, Mr. Gilgis Alexander. Can we give you all the money that is
This is
possible?"
Lowdown
And Shea
on
being like,
Sports
"Yep,
14.
that sounds about right."
Yeah.
Like he's gonna
you
make,
don't need an agent.
he's gonna make $71 million a year as an AAV. Like what do you need an agent for?
Yeah. Well,
To tell him to do it? Like I think he can figure it out himself.
Well, unless the agent is a really, really, really good friend. There you go.
Yeah, and like it's a Rich Paul kind of scenario. And Shea, he left money on the table as well. That's another thing that's worth mentioning. But like with all these guys, I forget what the roundabout point I was trying to make was. I just
I
think
interrupted you.
No,
It was my fault.
no. It's a sticky
I keyed
situation.
your car.
Well, Huss texted in that Nikola Topic is going to help with the salary, and he thinks he's going to be good. This is a player a lot of people are really high on. He wasn't a late draft pick by any stretch of the imagination, but he was 12th overall, so he was end of the lottery. And he's a guy who incredibly credentialed in Europe, and a lot of people think are going to come over and be like a Nikola Jokic archetype, but he's a true point guard. He's like a 6'6" true point
So
guard.
how good is he?
Well, I don't know. Like that's what we're going to find out. A lot of people are really high on him. I think he'll probably end up being a very good player. Like playing in Czechia last season, he put up like 18 and a half a game with 7 assists, which is like good for Euroball. I think he's going to be a good player. I'm interested to see what he's going to look like. What the offense is going to look like if he's the one predominantly with the ball in his hands, because Shea's so successful doing that. And Shea has such a bag. Like we make fun of Shea for being a free throw merchant, which at times he has been, but he is so good with the ball in his hand.
Do you think players like Shea get so famous that people just start picking them apart? Like they dive and they do this, and it's just because they're so great, and you're just tired of talking about them every year. I think LeBron was a victim of that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
I think he definitely was.
Yeah.
I think he definitely was. Do I see it for this team though? I don't know. Another thing, like people talk a lot about like all these picks they have, which they do. And like I'm not gonna crush them for all the picks they have, and it's a great envious position to be in. But like a lot of it is protected picks, and a lot of it is swaps, and a lot of it is second rounders. And like some of those swaps, like you look at some of like the Clippers, the Mavs, like, do you think those swaps are going to be incredible value?
No.
Like they're good to have,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it's definitely going to help. Like you look at the picks they have, and if they draft well, which I think Sam Presti will, he's a great GM. You can duplicate some of the players you already have for cheaper, but it's not a guarantee. Like what you have right now is it's what it is. You just
Right.
want a championship with it.
I just find it so interesting that you are going to the draft, and you're like it's not very many rounds, and sometimes the really good players are done by 10.
Yeah.
And you got to find the value. For me, like I know there's a lot of luck involved in hockey and in baseball. And I think football, not as much because they're 22-year-olds as opposed to 18-year-olds.
Yep.
But man, like if you screw up 2 first-round picks in a row in the NBA, you're behind.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because that's the other thing. The NBA is not a development league.
No.
Like you better play, kid, and you better be good. You know? Like
And they don't like they have guys who don't play like a lot. The 76ers at times have had guys who play, not a lot, but they come off and they're really effective, and they'll hang around for years and years and years, and you're not going to replace that type.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to come in and be useful and have utility in an area where a team needs you.
Absolutely.
Or you're not going to play.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, like people get like kind of tell me like they think it should be more of a development league. I'm going to look it up right now again. If you were to tell me how many people in the world play basketball, what would you guess the number is?
In the world?
Yeah.
There's been 6 times 2 divided by 4.
So
210,000.
According to FIBA, over 450 million people play basketball around the world.
Well, like professional basketball?
No. But like, so according to FIBA, I think it's like some form of organized basketball.
But you mean like pickup games in the backyard?
No, but like that wouldn't be organized, right? Like, so it would be, even if it's like rec league or like a men's league.
Would you
or-
be counted as playing basketball?
I'm not on a team anymore.
Okay.
So no. But my point being is that like that's a lot of people. There are 450 players in the NBA. There are 15 to a roster. Realistically, there's 12 who play. Like we don't have time to develop you, kid.
Right.
There's someone else coming who's going to be able to play.
450 million seems high.
It does seem high.
I think this is the first
This
time
is according
it's
to FIBA.
Well, the first time it's
And
ever
there's
been
actually-
said. The first time it's ever been said. I think FIBA is lying.
There's actually another report that said 610 million.
Okay,
play
everybody's
basketball.
gone. Everybody, go to your room. This is not research. I need a research. I need search of a 10-mile targeted search every outhouse,
Farmhouse,
penthouse.
doghouse. Your fugitive's name is Dr. Richard Kimball.
Man, I love that. We should watch that movie while we're doing the show.
We should do like a Bill Simmons rewatchables
Nice.
and do that one. Here's the other thing. I've been getting a few good texts in about me touching the rim. So I want to clear this
Well,
up.
I don't think you can touch it many times.
So I could
Maybe
never
if you-
I could never dunk or come close to dunking.
Right.
It was the top of my fingers grazing the bottom of the rim.
So barely.
Oh yeah, barely for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not like I couldn't even dunk a tennis ball, but I could touch the rim. I should go. You know what I got to do? I got to start like box jumping so I can work up to it again and then do it again.
Why?
Well, because I've clearly gotten a lot of heat from it.
The
here.
world's in flames. This is what you want to do?
Kind of. Also, sorry, House texted and he says LT VJ Edgecombe already missing time with injury. 76ers have no luck. I'm sure you haven't been watching NBA Summer League, but VJ Edgecombe is cold. You got one. He is a great player. I loved his game at Baylor. I'm gonna love his game in the NBA.
Will he
But-
make me forget about Joel Embiid's horrible injury history?
Well, this is the thing. As Huss just said, he's injured. He's already missing time with injury in the Summer League. So no, it's actually going to be another Joel Embiid situation. But he's a really good player. I like him a lot.
Well, that doesn't help me. A really good player. I like him a lot. He's hurt. Sounds like a 76er through and through.
But here's the thing. I honestly, would you rather not have had Joel Embiid?
No, I love
Right?
Joel Embiid. I love watching him play.
And like you got to see him win.
He would be Dr. J, Moses, Barkley, Iverson. He'd be top 10 for me of the
Of
players,
players
that-
you like to watch?
Yeah, of 76ers that I would have cheered for in my lifetime.
yeah, for sure.
You know.
Well, yeah, he's an unbelievable talent.
No. I mean, he just was, I'd watch him Christmas Day and he was so good. And then I did go cut the turkey. Now the turkey's in better shape than
And then
Embiid.
we'd open presents and have pancakes, and it was awesome.
I make great pancakes. You know what the key to my pancakes is?
Love.
Love, but also vanilla. They taste
Oh.
cakey if you put vanilla in them. Yeah.
Will I ever get a chance
No,
to try?
no,
them?
never, not ever, ever. But if you put vanilla in them, it's like you're eating pancakes, but there's a little cake in there. Yeah,
man.
Oh yeah.
You a crepes guy?
I'll tell you this. I used to go to the creperie
Yeah.
and I enjoyed them, but I always thought, I should have ordered something else.
For sure.
You know,
I get that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I have crepes, I'm like, this is cool, but I could have had pancakes or waffles.
pancakes are great. Like they're undeniably great. They
Yeah.
are, you know.
Goat breakfast food?
What did you say?
Goat breakfast food?
Well, bacon.
Josh, yeah? Okay. I saw your hand on the mic there. What's your goat breakfast food?
That was not what I was signaling. Goat breakfast food though, French toast.
He was signaling Lowetide's having a stroke. Have we
smell
forgotten
toast,
about bacon?
Tide?
Have we forgotten about bacon, you people?
Here's the thing.
It's
Bacon's
not like a full meal.
bacon's
If
obviously
you have enough pieces.
bacon's obviously great, but like bacon's pretty unhealthy. Not that
Oh,
pancakes are great.
pancake.
Not that pancakes
Ladies
are
and
the,
gentlemen,
not
the
that pancakes
carrots.
are the picture.
The carrots of breakfast. Pancakes.
Not that pancakes.
What the
are
hell are
picture
you
about.
talking about?
But I'm saying, man, like I have
We're on the road to ruin with all of this.
I have 3 pieces of bacon and I feel like my arteries clogged.
Okay.
I have a pancake.
load
I'm
up
like,
on
what a
bacon.
delicious treat. You know what I mean?
I like to make the healthy choices, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I have 6 pancakes every morning.
I have 4 bowls of Fruity Pebble a day. Talking about breakfast.
I love Raisin Bran. That's what I have. That's my go-to
You know
breakfast
what?
cereal.
When I was like a kid, my grandparents, like that was the treat cereal, was Raisin Bran.
What?
And I do love Raisin Bran because of that.
I will tell you something. I will end breakfast if somebody gives me puffed wheat. I will walk away and be mad all day. I had puffed wheat when we grew up poor. We had powdered milk and puffed wheat. And that to me is poor people food. And I'm sorry, but it is. And I was poor people. I'm not putting poor people down, but I'm not eating that junk anymore because I don't have to. Sorry to the puffed wheat people and to the powdered milk.
You tell them, Tide. You tell them about how much you hate puffed wheat.
I hate it. It doesn't even like gooshy up. It just stays at the top of the milk, of the powdered milk. Are we done?
Yeah. Sounds like it.
I can't believe you went with pancakes or health food.
I didn't go that route.
Yeah, kind of you did.
Well,
you were dissing me about bacon and you said, I go for the healthy choice.
I had a good I didn't say that. I had a good explanation.
Totally did.
I had a good explanation.
All right. We enjoyed the YouTube. Apparently, we're back in September with YouTube. I hopefully will be a part of that. They haven't told me. And you know what? I'm mildly curious. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Jason Gregor is on the way. Sorry to the puffed wheat people. Bye.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Play Alberta has an all-new app. Download and get the boosted odds for every Oilers game. Plus, play casino games, grab lottery tickets, and try some quick and easy instant games all on your phone. PlayAlberta.ca. In case you missed it, the Edmonton Oilers have traded for Isaac Howard from the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Oilers have sent Sam O'Reilly down to Tampa in exchange. Alex Lynott is signed with the Buffalo Sabres on a 2-year, $3 million deal. He will serve as a backup for Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Over in the majors, it's a full 15-game slate. The Blue Jays are in South Chicago, taking on the White Sox, looking for their 11th straight win. Eric Lauer is on the bump for the Birds. Currently, they're down 2-1 in the top of the 6th to the White Sox. Bo Bichette up to bat. Other games underway right now. Dodgers-Brewers 1-1 at the bottom of the 6th. And Phillies-Giants getting underway right now. It's a 0-0 draw. Off the diamond, the MLB will be using the automated ball strike system during the All-Star game next week in Atlanta. 4 games in the WNBA today. Sun topped the Storm 93-88. Valkyries crushed the Fever 80-61. Lynx and Mercury in action currently, and Wings and Sky later tonight. Edmonton Riverhawks in action tonight in Bellingham taking on the Bells. WCL All-Stars were announced today, and 4 Riverhawks made the team. Over in Wimbledon, both Jannik Sinner and Novak Djokovic winning their quarterfinal matches this morning. The two will face each other in the semis on Friday. Coming up, it's the Jason Gregor Show. I'm Josh Fenwick, and this is the Sports 1440 Update.
Sports 1440.